it's important to like be there for people the best way you can, and to show up for them any way you can. But I also want to remind people, like, you can't lose yourself in trying to show up for other people too. And that's the hardest shit to do. Like, to just be like, damn, I want you to be good, but I can't be fucked up.
Right.
Trying to help you be good.
Hey, welcome to another episode of The Day After. On today's episode, we sit down with Chris, who shares openly about what it was like losing his father in his early teenage years. Chris deeply respected his father, and he shares what it was like to grow up without him. Chris is a man that I deeply respect and deeply love. He's a good friend to me, and I'm more than honored to have him on the show for you today. So go ahead, grab your pineapple and ginger punch, sit down, and listen. And while I have you, go ahead and rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts. It goes a long way to helping to support the show and the work that Ashley and I have done, as well as getting the guest stories heard by as many people as possible. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Today, we have Christopher with us, and typically we go into start us off with the story of your loss and, the beginning. Before we get into that, I know this is atypical, but I want to tell this moment that we had, or that I had with you. So we've known each other since I moved back to Rochester. Like I was telling Ashley earlier before we started recording, basically leaving California when Ariana was diagnosed, I'd wanted to find a gaming community here, esports community.
Right.
And you were the prominent player in that. And I reached out and we kind of, to me, felt like we became fast friends. Like sometimes you meet people and you're like, oh, they're my people. Like, this is a man who shares the same heart as me. And we did that for a while, but there was this one moment, and I don't know if I ever got to tell you this, but it was Ariana's funeral.
Okay.
And I had given the eulogy and everything was over, and the church or wherever we were was clearing out. And I was like walking to my car, we were walking to the burial or something, and either you called me or I noticed you, and you just stood standing there, and my heart dropped. Like, I couldn't believe that you showed up. And it was one of the most loving acts that I had felt in my life. And just by you showing up and like, I didn't get to express to you what that meant to me, to have you there in such a difficult moment for me.
Yeah.
It just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I remember going, I was like, because typically I dealt with a lot of loss and stuff like that. And it's, you, after a while, I won't say become numb to it, but you don't even want to think about it or deal with it sometimes. It's like, gosh, another one. And right. So,
yeah.
I'm from the hood, man. So some of my people that I grew up with, they not even here no more. So,
yeah.
A couple cats I used to hoop with on a daily basis, they locked up. Now, obviously, some of my friends, they've gone on to the Army, they've gone on to greater and bigger and better things, but some folks didn't make it. And so dealing with that, and then cancer is actually rampant on my mother's side, and I lost my father to cancer. So I just remember I was like, hey, CJ is cool as fuck, man. I got to get over there because, like, he's such a cool dude. And I remember how hard I took it when my father passed. I was like, sometimes just seeing somebody who give a shit can make all the difference in the world. Now, I didn't think it would mean that much to you, but I was just like, man, I got to be there. Like, I could see, like, I remember when you introduced Ariana to me, and bro, if I could like replay the love you had in your eyes, I remember I told my ex-girlfriend at the time, I was like, yo, this dude CJ loved the shit out of Ariana, bro. It was wild because I was like, yo, I told her, I was like, if I could show you how he looked at her and looked at me when he introduced her, yeah, you were so proud and you were so happy. And I was like, shit. And I was like, man, she really means a lot to this dude. I remember thinking like, wow. And I was like, I want to feel love like that one day. I want to feel like somebody like is proud to see me and proud to like, yo, this is my baby Chris. And so I had a little bit of that when I was married, but obviously, marriage, I ended up divorcing my ex-wife and it didn't work out. But I remember the look you mad. And I just remember like when I talked to you, you reached out and it was so like, you treated me like I was like some kind of celeb. I was like, damn, I'm not even on it like that. But you just made me feel like I was doing something great. And it kind of helped me confirm where I was. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, like he reached out like out of nowhere. And you've done that, and other people have done that too. They just reach out to me and be like, hey, Chris, can I do this? Can I do that? But you didn't just do it. You followed up with it. And I remember you came and helped out with RockCon.
Yeah,
That was
that's
huge,
right.
bro. Like,
yeah.
I was so happy to have you there. Like, yo, this dude is super chill. I don't know where he came from, but I appreciate it, God. Like, it was really cool. So, and then after that, I was just like, CJ is one of those people. Like, sometimes you deal with people who like, you know, they'll come, they go, or whatever. But then like some people's like, nah, I want him to stick around. And I if whatever it takes to make sure that the friendship stays there, I'm willing to do that. And you just one of those people, CJ. I feel like losing you as a friend is like a real loss, not like man, you'll be all right. I think you're one of those people who just you're genuinely cool. I've never seen you say or do nothing corny. Obviously, I don't know you like as deep as family may know you, whatever. But I've never seen you like be one way here and another way there. You've always been like this really chill, really humble, really cool dude. So going to the funeral just felt like I'm supposed to be there for a friend. So I'm glad to know that it made an impact. But it definitely was just like I just want to be there for my friend. Like I didn't even care if you didn't see me that day. I just wanted to be able to say like I went there to be there for my friend when, you know, obviously with a rough situation. So it's even doper to know that it actually meant something to be there.
Like it's a moment that has stuck with me forever, dude. And yeah, I have so much love for you. You don't even know, man.
Yeah, man, it's all love over here, so you know it, CJ. So yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you lost your dad to cancer.
Yeah.
So take us back the beginning of all that.
So it was weird because like my dad is like old school down south, like Bama. You know, he's from Alabama, so he's just like, you know, he don't really do the doctor visits. He ain't really do none of that. So, I mean, he was always like I'm a big dude, but like he's like my dad was like 6'3", 6'4". His hands were freaking huge. It was like almost as twice as. I just remember like, God, this dude is a big dude, man. So, even when I was a kid, I never tried him, you know, because I was like, nah, I like my head being on my neck. So, and he was like, when he was sober, he drank a lot too. So when he was sober, he was like more militant, more hard. But then when he drank, he was like became like this big smiley, like super chill dude. And so sometimes we would wait till my dad get drunk and then ask him for like, Dad, can we get some brownies? And after a while, he got hip to it. He's like, what your mama say? Like, damn. But he was just like a really like a big teddy bear. And it's funny when people say that to me because I'm like, damn, that's what he used to say to my dad. So but he was just I remember when I was in school, he would just be like, Big Chris, time to hit it. And he was calling me Big Chris before even before that became a nickname of mine, like all like the 38 nicknames I had. But before anybody was calling me that, he used to say, Big Chris, let's get it. Time to get up in the morning. I would get up and I would hate to hear it. It's crazy because now I would give anything to hear
Yeah.
Big Chris get up. It's time to hit it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just you don't know when you're in the moment. Like you'll never get those times again. And that's I think him passing it sucked because it was rough to deal with, but it ended up being a big blessing. Because now that I have 4 kids, like I value the fuck out of my time with them. Like there's not a time. And it's crazy today because I was at school picking up my twins, and one of the security guards came up to me. She was like, "I just want to say thank you for not giving me a hard time when you have to park further away and walk away." And she's like, "I just see how you interact with your kids." She's like, I see you racing them and I see you hug them and all that. And I'm not doing it so nobody to see it. I just like I see them. I'm like, I want y'all to remember me as like the dopest dad ever.
Yeah.
And I want y'all to think back at y'all childhood and damn near cry because like you feel like this is the best thing I could have had. I have the best dad ever. So like, and I know those moments. Like I have a daughter that's 14, CJ. Like I have a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old, and 9-year-old twins. And I remember holding all of them like when they were here. And it's just like, holy, like I have a high schooler.
Yeah.
I'm about to have another one next year. And all my kids are going to be at double digits by December. So,
oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And so like it's just like before you know it, man, they are and I'm so grateful that I don't have asshole kids. I know it's rough to say that sometimes. Like some people really do have rough kids, man. It's you can see like, God, like you needed a little bit more something when you was growing up because like it's hard to deal with you. But I'm grateful I don't have children like that. And so my dad passing allowed me to like really take fatherhood way more serious. Obviously, I'm goofy as hell, so like I like to be fun and joke around and like all that kind of stuff. But it made me like, nah, this matters. Like even when you're tired, sitting down to play a game with them or playing dolls or like even when we do family time. I know sometimes I'm like, oh God, Dad, but like I'm like, one day we won't be able to do this because you might be in Washington and you might be in Tennessee and you might be, you know what I'm saying? When y'all go to college, I don't know where life is gonna take y'all. So I'm gonna soak all this shit up now.
Right.
Because one day y'all gonna be grown.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like it's gonna be like, hey, you wanna come visit Dad? I'm here. Dad's here in Rochester.
And that day's coming soon.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
mean?
It'll be here sooner than you think. For sure.
I don't say I dread it because I'm so curious to see how they act as adults.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't rush not a second of it, but I'm like, I'll be in my mind like, I wonder, and I'll be looking at him like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to live with your sister because I can see like you be bullshitting.
Did your kids get to meet your dad, or did he pass?
No, my daughter says it all the time. My youngest daughter, Demi, she says it. She's like, Daddy, I wish I could have met Grandpa because I tell them stories about my dad, and they like. You would think he was the dopest dude ever, the way I spent it, but like that's just the way I feel about him. And as I got older, I talked to my mom, and mom told me some of the stories about, she told me some of the amazing stuff about him. And then I heard some unflattering stuff about him. Like, damn, I didn't know you did that, Dad. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that dude was still my hero. I don't even pretend. Like I tell people, like my favorite athlete of all time is Sean Kemp, and he can't hold a candle to my dad, man. I just think he's to me, the epitome of what a man should be. And I only thing I just didn't like, and I wish he would have did more. I wish he would have told us he had cancer sooner. Cause like,
So how old were you?
I was like 14, 15. So it was just like my formative teenage. I'm just smelling myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So you're in Rochester, right? So he came up from Alabama?
My pops, my mom's from Florida and my dad's from Alabama. So like my family ain't even from here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm born and raised in Rochester, but my family's like geeky down south.
14, 15, and he had cancer at that point, but nobody knew.
He didn't know, but he knew it. He didn't say nothing. And every now and then I could hear my mom gets frustrated about it because like I wish Louis would have said something, right? Because we talk about it, we kick it, and every now and then. But I think that again, it's just that down south old school mentality. He was the oldest of like 8 or 9 kids, and he was like like his father passed early. So I think, and it was weird because he used to always prepare my older brother, like, because I have 2 older brothers and a younger sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so he used to always prepare my older brother, like, all right, David, I ain't gonna be here forever. And when it's the time, you got to take over. You got to be the man of the house. And my brother used to hate it because he's like, I don't be no man of the house. I'm trying to go to college. And, you know what I'm saying? So it's funny because I end up, like my mom, out of all my siblings, I took the size. Like my dad was huge as hell. And I'm 6'2", and he was like 6'3". So I'm the only one who's tall out of all the kids. And like, it's weird because like if you look at him, and my mom pointed out one day, she like, boy, you look like Louis. I was like, where? Because I don't have a lot of, I remember my dad being an older dude with big glasses and a jerry curl, right? But like some of the younger pictures, I never saw those until she bust them out. And I was like, oh, I was like, y'all look like this dude. This is my dad. Holy crap. Because I called him like, mustache and like older and like kind of, bigger dude, but beer gut butt and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't catch like the young, smooth, like, damn, that's a handsome dude right there. I didn't catch that, Louis. So I was like, Dad, I see why you got with him, Mom. That's a nice looking man right there. So I didn't catch that. So my mom, when she showed me that, it was so amazing to deal with. But like, yeah, when he passed, it was just like I can't even explain it. Like, cause my family side is like my dad's side is hood as hell, and then my mom's side is like super church.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know how this going, but my eyesight. And it used to be so funny because like at family reunions and stuff like that, we went to a lot of my mom's side stuff, and we would pop up here and there at my dad's side because they drinking, smoking, and all that kind of stuff. My mom, she wasn't really into that, so she didn't want us a part of that world. And so as much as she loved my uncles and my aunts and all them, she still kind of kept us with the arm's length of like that kind of stuff. So I knew my father's side, but it wasn't as deep as I knew my mom's side but I knew him because like my mom's side was super church. And so, like, it was hard as a kid to have conversation with them. And it wasn't like, well, if you read your Bible and what God said, and even though those are, prevalent things in their lives, sometimes I just wanted to say, like, Mom, I'm having wet dreams.
Right.
Like, and it's really, it's when you're a kid, you have no idea what's going on. Like,
exactly.
Mom, I'm like, I kind of like this lady, and something happens down here when I see her. And so, like, and that's an awkward conversation to have. With your mom.
Yes,
and so like that conversation with my pops, like, oh boy, that's just da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? And even though he smoked and drank a lot, he would smoke a lot. Like I would watch Chicago Bulls. I don't like the Bulls at all. I'm not a Bulls fan. But I only rock with the Bulls because of my dad. And even my tattoo right here, I have a tattoo of like the Indianapolis Colts helmet on my shoulder, and because it's my pops, and I know he loved the Indianapolis Colts. And so we would watch Colt games, we would watch football games, we would watch basketball games, and we would just talk and kick it. And like it was the one time where I felt like I didn't have to, like, the conversation didn't have to turn into God, Jesus.
Right.
And so
with your dad, right.
Right. My mom, it wasn't that much. Even though my mom was freaking awesome in so many other areas, she was really devout Christian. So like it was, everything turned into into something about religion and God. So when my dad, it wasn't that. Like if we talking football, it's football. If we talking body, it's body. If we talking kids, we talking kids. And so I appreciated that so much because like I needed that outlet.
Right. So when did you find out that he had cancer?
I think I was like 14, and
okay.
he kept running in and out of the house. Like he would come to the house really fast because I think he had prostate cancer. So he would just like, and I've never seen my dad bolt like that. He would boom, just bolt to the house and then use the bathroom. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then I forgot what happened, but one day we were sitting there, and my mom, she's like, go check on your dad, because he'd been moving a little different, whatever. But I'm a kid, so I'm not really recognized. I'm in my own world. I'm trying to. I remember because I was scared shitless to go out for the football team at East High School. And so I got played sandlot and for my friends and stuff like that, but I had never played organized. So I was like, Dad, I don't know. And that's when I found out, like, my dad was a nice linebacker back in Alabama. He showed me newspaper clips. I'm like, damn,
shit, dude.
He never told me this, Dad. And I'm scared. And he's like, boy, you could do it. And I see how you play out there with them kids, and you could do that in the game too. So I went out, and when I tell you, I was terrified. I had never put pads on. I had never put a helmet on. I was scared. I was like, God, please don't let me get hit too hard. And so, but I remember I went out because he told me, like, and that's how I know the power of a father's words. It's just like, your mom has the power in her words, and this is some stuff that your dad, when he say to you, it's just going to hit you in a different way than it hits when your mom hit. And so when he told me to go out for the squad, I went out. And I made the team, and I ended up being like, later on down the road, I ended up being like one of the top returning players in the city and all that time. I still have my newspaper clip for that.
What position did you play?
I play offensive line and defensive line. So
okay.
I was with the big boys pushing everybody around. So it was pretty fun. But I remember, like, and I show my kids sometimes, like, y'all see Daddy fat now. Look how I used to look. This is me when I used to be skinny. Like, Daddy's so skinny. Yeah, I was. But I remember we went out, and my mom, she's like, go check on Louis. And I went upstairs. He's laying in the bed. I was like, Dad, I'm about to go. Dad.
No.
Dad. And like, he looked, it was so scary. Like every now and then I get shook this thing. He looks, and he not moving, but he rolls his eyes over to me like that. And I bolted down the fucking stairs. And I was like, Mom, Dad not moving. And so I've never seen my mom move that fast. She boom, ran upstairs. And I watched, and I went in the room, and she's like, Louis. And then she put her hand on his tongue and pushed down. My mom's a nurse.
Oh,
so she put his hand down his tongue, and when she pushed down his tongue, he took the biggest breath. And I was like, oh my God. It was the scariest shit I had. Boy, I watched Friday the 13th. That was the scariest shit I ever seen in my life. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And then that's when, we found out. We went to the hospital, and my mom knew, I think, already, but then like it wasn't no hiding it from then. And she's like, well, Louis has cancer.
Holy shit.
And we didn't know like how long, and you know what I'm saying? So that was scary. And then so we found out about it, and it was just like, damn, like, Dad has cancer. Like, what is it? And this is early 2000s, so we don't really know. I think it was like 99, 2000. So like the cancer thing is still, as scary as it is now, it was scarier back then because it was less information, less known about it. The treatment wasn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so we was just like, as a kid, I remember thinking like, what does that mean? Like, this, like, is he okay? What does that mean? Because like cancer wasn't something it wasn't even in my realm of possibilities yet.
Yeah.
And so when it happened, I was like, man, like, okay, he got to go, like, how long he got to be in the hospital? And then he came out for a little while, and he had like the little colostrophe bag, and it was just like, damn, like, it was weird, like watching my hero.
Yes.
And this big, hulking, strong dude just like kind of withered down into this skinny guy who, like, you could see it was him, but it was hard to recognize, like, he's skinny now. He's different. His hair has come out, and he don't have that big booming raspy voice and all that. You know what I'm saying? So it was weird to see that. But when we found out, it was just kind of like you know how they say, like, once you find out the decline, it's like that. It's like he was cool. Now, again, I don't know how long he had it because my dad was really secretive. And I think my mom said it to this day. She thinks he still would have been alive if he would have not been stubborn and just went to the doctor. And he would have been in his 70s. Actually, no, that's a lie. Oh, 70, he would have been like 80, I think.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that would have been like, damn. And I think he would have met my kids, at least my oldest. But he also was like okay with dying. And even though it sucks for us, like he was like, if it's my time, it's my time. You know, I lived a good life. I took care of y'all. And I did the best I could with y'all. And I love your mama. So y'all take care of your mom.
How old was he?
He was, I think he was in his like 61 or 62 when he passed.
So how long was it after that moment where he was choking to him dying?
I don't know. Maybe if I can't, the time frame escapes me. Maybe months. I remember he was in the hospital. We went to visit him, and you could tell he was close.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting home, and my mom and my aunt came home, and she was like, Chris, come down. And when she came down, I was like, okay, well, I guess we about to go see Dad tomorrow, whatever. And then my mom couldn't even say it. My aunt had to say it to me.
Really?
And she's like, well, Chris, Louis passed. And I was like you know, you hear it. It's just, it don't even like connect. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And now you in your brain is like, to try to calculate what the hell. And then I don't remember what was said to me after that. I remember I went upstairs and I turned on Madden 95. I'll never forget this. I went upstairs and I turned on Madden 95. And I think I was playing, and by the time I got to the second quarter, I couldn't even finish playing. I was just bawling, crying. And my brother came in. He's like, it's going to be okay. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, Dad is not here. What do you mean it's going to be okay, right? And I'm 15. And this is my only person I talk to outside that's not church, God, church. And I can have a regular conversation with this dude. He's my hero. What do you mean he's not coming back? And so that was hard to deal with for a long time. And I just remember being sad and being angry and not knowing to do it myself and not knowing to do it my feelings and trying not to be a dickhead, but also like, man, fuck the world. And it was just a lot of didn't know what to do with it, you know what I'm saying? And not knowing who to talk to. And my mom not really knowing how to deal with the grief of losing her husband. And you know, obviously couples go through stuff and all that, but it was weird because like they were very like not secretive, but like they're very not open about their like
the relationship,
the affectionate part.
Oh yeah. Oh right.
So like we never really saw kissing and hugging and holding hands. And so like every now and then we would come downstairs and my dad would be down on one knee kissing my mom on the couch. We'd be like, ugh, like, we like 8, 9, like, ugh, what are you doing? And so like he was like, go back upstairs. And we would go back up like shit. What I'm gonna do with that big man telling me to go upstairs? So but we didn't see a lot of the affection part. So just seeing my mom like, and my mom, I won't say she was a robot, but my mother was very like just
rigid.
Yeah, like just this is what it is. This is what we doing. And this is how we gonna do it and we gonna handle it. And she was heavy in the church, deep in the church, which was really awesome because it kept me out of a lot of bullshit that I definitely would have been into.
Right. Yeah, so I'm curious.
Right.
Like, you mentioned you didn't know where to put those feelings or how to process them or what to do. What did you find yourself doing? Like, even though you didn't know, like, what were the behaviors, the things you did that you, in your mind, were trying to cope, right? Like, I had that same experience. It was like, I don't know how to, these feelings are huge. They're bigger than me.
Right.
I don't know what to do. And sometimes I just found myself doing things without even trying. What did you find yourself doing?
You know, my family, like, they don't play that shit. Like, when it comes to, like, church and God, like, hey, get in here and give God his, and then you go live your life afterwards. So I remember, like, I was just so mad. I didn't want to be in church one Sunday. I was like, my dad, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And so I was about to leave, and I said, "Now my family could see I was mad." My aunt, and so she's like, "Christopher, go back in there and sit down." And so I went in, I sat down. I was like, "Man, fuck this, I don't want to be here." So I got up. I remember I walked down the stairs, and I'm crossing the street to go walk back to my house, because my church was pretty close to my house. So I'm walking down. He's like, "Christopher, come back." And I was like, "I ain't never coming back." And I'm yelling. I'll never yell at my mom and my aunt. But I'm 15, 16 years old, and like my dad is not here, and I am angry at everybody.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I so mad at the world? And I remember I was any older male that tried to like mentor and all that, I was like, the fuck out my face. Like I remember specifically feeling that way. You're not my dad. You'll never replace him. Get away from me. I don't want to talk to you about anything intimate. That was between me and my father. You can't have that. I remember feeling that way, like, you can't have that. No thanks. Right. And it was like and it was messed up because like they was just trying to reach out the best way they knew. And so part of me feels bad now because I was like, damn, I was kind of being a jerk when I didn't. And I didn't like really be nasty, but like it wasn't the normal happy go. Like people know me for being just goofy and happy and having a good time. So to go through that little stretch where I was just like, man, I don't care.
Right.
And to get there, like I became very cavalier about things and just like, man, it is what it is, whatever. Chris, you want to? Yeah, it's fine. Chris, no thanks. I'm gonna stay home. And I don't want to play basketball today. I don't want to go play football. No thanks. I almost didn't even go out for the team the next year. I don't think I ever told my mother that or any of my family. Like I almost didn't play sports because I was like, that's my dad. Like I wouldn't even play it for him. I don't want to do this.
Right.
But I went out anyway because it's just like I should do this to honor my dad. I started because of him, so I should keep going because of him too. So which ended up being a benefit and a boon in my life later. But I just remember I was angry, CJ. I was mad. I was sad. It would just hit me anywhere too.
Yeah.
Like I would just be in school and I gotta wipe my face out of nowhere. I'm like, damn, what's happening? Like I came back. And I never forgot I was in math class, and some lady I had never seen before. She's like, Christopher, can we talk? And I was like,
what's this about?
Right. and so she calls me in the hallway. I was like, what the hell? Right. And so we go to the hallway. She's like, well, Chris, I just want you to know, I'm the grief counselor here at East High School. And if you ever want to talk.
Oh, no.
And I was like, no. And I was like, no thanks. And I went back in the class because I'm like, I can't. I will bawl crying in this hallway.
Yeah.
If I get going. No, thank you. I'll do that. I'll handle that at home. So, but it was I remember when I first came back, which I thought was so dope. My teacher wrote me a letter and put it on a card, and the whole class signed it. And it's like,
That's
sorry
so
for your
nice.
loss. And yeah, it was cool because I didn't think nobody gave a damn. Like I was just like feeling like isolated on my own island, besides my family, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And so when that happened, I didn't really know what to do with it. But yeah, it was just misplaced, a lot of misplaced anger and sadness, and for a minute feeling lost. Like,
yeah,
what do I do?
Yeah.
Who do I talk to now? That was my guy. That was my go-to. Yeah. I didn't want to watch sports for a minute, and I was just like, I don't know what to do, man. I was just like, like, what do I do?
Feeling
Like,
numb, basically, right?
My friends came out and they were like, Chris, man, sorry about your dad. And I was like, thank you. But like, I didn't want to talk about it too long because I knew it would bum me out, and I would like fall back into that just angry or whatever place.
Oh, two questions. One, did you feel like it was okay to be sad and upset about it? And did you have a space that you felt safe to allow those emotions to come out? Or did you feel like you needed to not have those feelings and suppress them? I mean, we grew up around the same time, right? Like we're pretty much the same age. And I think it was different back then than it is now. 100%.
Way different.
You know, like what was that experience like?
Luckily I was around people who, even though they were really deep in church, I think and it was something that's actually my sister talked about it as well, because my sister was like I took it bad, but she took it the worst because like she was the only girl, and so my dad treated her like the absolute princess of the universe, right? And so she would get special gifts, and if we all got chocolate milk, she would get a Pepsi or just something different and let her know like you my little special baby girl. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, you know what I'm saying? But it made my sister feel unbelievably like I'm the Diamond. My sister's middle name is Diamond, and my dad treated her like she was a fucking diamond. So but so my dad, he always wanted a girl. And so he had 4 kids with my mother. And there was three boys and a girl. So my sister was the youngest and she was the last one. And so she just got the amazing treatment. She was daddy's little girl, and anything that you wanted your daughter father relationship to be, I think that was them. And so she took it hard too. And I remember she was telling me, it's funny, we had just, CJ, before you hit me up, we I think it was back in Thanksgiving, because we meet up for holidays. And so we were talking about the grief and losing my father, and stuff like that. And my sister, she was just like, I remember nobody gave me room to grieve except for one lady at my church. And everybody else was saying, like, you got to get over it and you got to deal with it. And she was like, this part is hard to tell because it gets me emotional. But she's like, that lady took me down to the church bathroom and she's like, Lydia, if you need to cry, you cry as long, as hard as you need to. And she said, don't you let nobody tell you that you don't need to cry and you need to get over it. And she's like, and she said she just broke down crying in the bathroom. But after that cry, she felt way better because everybody kept telling her, hold it in. That's enough. That's enough. You didn't did it nothing. All right. He gone now. You can't do nothing about it. Da, da, da. And you can't say that to somebody when they haven't fully processed. Like, I think they didn't know how, because my dad didn't come to church that often. Like, he came twice and we was like, hell no, don't come back here no more. Like, yeah, he was just mad, like, hallelujah. Amen. We like, Dad, come on, man. Be quiet. Let me try to get out of here.
Embarrassing.
Bad embarrassing. I was like, don't come back, Dad. No. So, but he didn't come to church. But and so I don't think that people at church knew how much my dad like just took super special, amazing care of my sister. And so they didn't know how deep that connection was and how like he treated her.
Right.
And so for them to say that, and that's why I'm very careful with grief. And even sometimes I don't know how to handle it. Even now, I'm like, my friend just lost her sister, and she is struggling, bro. And when I tell you, she has said some shit to me I ain't never heard her say to me or deal with me, and I'm like, I'm here for you. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
But it's like, damn, like your sister's gone.
Yeah.
And y'all been sisters for 40-some years.
Right.
And that's rough. I thank God. I mean, it's rough. I dealt losing my father, but thank God I haven't lost a sibling, right? And so, like, I can't even imagine what you're going. And as much as I keep trying to put myself in your shoes, I can't. And so, when you do have your lash out moments or your moments where I'm like, you're being a jackass, right? But I can't really say that because it's like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to get through the grief and managing all that kind of stuff, and it's a whole messy situation with that. So, like, I get it. Like, it's tough. When you're trying to tell somebody who's trying to figure out how to grieve, all right, that's enough. You done grieved enough. Now let's move on with our lives. And like you said, it hits everybody differently.
Yes.
CJ, like I was able to grieve through sports, luckily, and so like I won't say it helped me play football, but I was much more aggressive when my father passed. I was ready to tear some people's head off, like,
Right.
and I played like that. You know what I'm saying? But I remember there was a specific time I was like, damn, I wish my dad was alive. I had an asshole coach my junior year in high school. Playing basketball. I remember because I came home one day, he was just, CJ, he was riding me, man. Like, it was like, what is wrong with you? Like, do you hate me? Like, and he would stop practice and be like, I remember we was playing one day and we didn't get any water. So my mouth is like dry. Like, I remember I swallowed and nothing happened. I was like, what the hell? And so he stops practice. My lips is white, dry white. He's like, man, y'all look at this. Look at him. So he stops the whole practice. The whole team looks at me, and they start laughing.
Are you serious?
CJ, I'm 16.
Oh,
I don't know.
fuck.
I don't know, bro. I don't know what to do with it. I'm
Right.
like, what? Like, what happened here?
Right.
But whatever reason, this coach, who will remain unnamed, was not the nicest dude, right? And I ended up talking later on to the assistant coach. He was like, Chris, he sees more potential in you than what you putting out, so he think that's the way to get it out of you. And I'm like, none of my family, none of it ever treated me like that. So, and I remember thinking, like, if my dad was here, my dad would have punched you in your fucking face. I remember feeling like, that. I was like, man, I wish my dad was here just for that one day, for him to catch him. Just because my dad was that type, he'll pop up. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of dad I am now too. I'll just randomly pop up because I want my kids to always feel supported, and your dad got you. You never know. Because some people pop up it's to catch their kids in the act, but I pops up to make sure nobody fucking with my kids. I just want to make sure that my kids always feel covered. They always feel loved and thought about and respected. And I got a lot of that for my dad, man. He passed that down through me, and I definitely could feel it, man. Like, people say, like, man, if you'd have knew your dad at a young age, you would know you just like Louis.
Aww.
And I'd be like, man,
it's like the best compliment.
I don't know him like that. Oh, it's dope as hell. I'd be like, yeah, that's right. So it feels good because, like, I know how dope of a dude my dad was, and I know how he made me personally feel. And for my sister, who's not lovey-dovey, huggy, feeling touchy, none of that kind of stuff, for her to talk so vibrantly and happy about my dad and just like so openly about my father, that right there reiterates how important and how special he was to her. So I just remember like when you lose somebody like that, CJ, it is devastating, man.
Yes.
And, even again, it's there's times where I can't. This is probably the longest I've gone about talking to my dad without crying. It was just weird. I'm 38, and it's like, damn, like, so I'm like over here, like I'm doing it, like,
Yeah, man.
But it's because like I just think he's such a cool dude, and I think he was such a dope person, and I wanted more time with him. But it also makes me cherish my time with my children, my time with my mother, my time with my brothers and my sister, even when they annoy the shit out of me. And I'd be like, you know what? I'm glad you're still here to annoy me, though.
Is there a way in which you, when you have moments where you're like, fuck, I really miss my dad, do you have rituals or specific things you do where you feel like you're connecting back to him? Like it sounded like sports was a way to deal with these larger than life emotions, right? Like learning to channel that energy and getting it out. But is there specific things that you do to this day where you're like, I need to feel him, that you do? Do you have anything like that?
I rub my tattoo. I rub my tattoo, and I rub it.
Yeah, man. That's all right.
I rub it, and I say, I love you, Dad. And I watch football. Sorry.
No, man.
I watch football, and I try to do the things with my son that my dad did with me.
Oh,
it's all good, man.
That's amazing.
You're good.
When I do that, I feel better. Dang, I almost got it. I almost got through.
No, man, you're good.
But when beautiful. I do that, I feel better and I feel closer. But man, I rub the tattoo, and it's just like sometimes people don't know why I'm doing it, but I know why I'm doing it, and I know because I miss them. I miss my pops.
Yeah,
I miss talking. I miss our conversations. And so when I rub my tattoo, it makes me like kind of feel closer. And I'll watch a Colts game. I'm a Bills fan, so
oh boy,
yes,
she's a hardcore Bills
Good
fan.
answer.
Bills fan. So, but to honor my pops, I'll watch a couple Colts games every year. And even though I don't drink, I'll just pop open a can or something. Love you, pops. Take a couple sips and stuff like that. But it's nothing out in the open like this loud way of doing it. But it's just my little way of dealing with it. And so when I do that, I feel better. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it feels a little tight, and I start to feel like, man, like I miss them, and it hits me heavier times than others. So when I do those couple things, I rub my tattoo. I try to do things with my son that my dad did with me. It lets me handle it and deal with it a little bit better than I normally would.
Yeah, I need to bring tissues down here.
I came prepared.
You did. I know, it's good.
I have a lot of those like small things that I'll just do on my own. Like on her birthday, she liked Twizzlers, so I buy a pack of Twizzlers, and it's the only time in the year that I really ever eat Twizzlers. But it's that one thing that I just do on my own silently, and it doesn't need to be anything too crazy. And on her anniversary, like some things like that. Usually I might go a little bigger on her death anniversary, but get other people involved. But I think those are the times when it's like the most, it hits the hardest, I think.
And it's hard because it'll hit you out of nowhere. Like even just now, like I don't, just asking a question and like having to explain out loud what I do to kind of soothe it, And my kids, they don't even know. Like sometimes I'll just rub it when I'm around them, and I don't think anybody's ever noticed because nobody's ever asked me, what am I doing? But I just know, like, I know for me, like, man, I miss you, pops, and I'll just like kind of rub it because, like I said, I got a tattoo, and it's the Colts helmet, and it says R.I.P. Lewis on it and stuff like that. And I'll just like give it a little rub, like I feel you, pops, so I feel you, Dad, and so that helps me deal with it. Just talking about it sometimes, just being able to air out and say the words out loud helps me not feel like I'm isolated and like I'm stuck and like I'm by myself. And then just telling really good stories about my dad, like helps me like really just like feel like really good about who he was as a man. And it was really cool when my youngest daughter was like, man, I wish we could have met Grandpa. And when my oldest daughter was like, yeah, I wish we could have met him. And I was like, man, my dad, he would have spoiled the shit out of my kid. It's not even close.
So I want to ask because I'm sitting here and hearing your story and I've never heard as much of the story before, right? And I
Right.
think it's aspirational to me when I see posts and hear about things you're doing with the kids, right? Like that, it's all over your Facebook and your socials, and I always like look at it as like, fuck, like I wish I could have that much excitement with my kids. But there's something else that you do.
Ah, man, see, you dope as fuck with your kids. Don't even try it. I've seen
I know.
that. I've
Like,
seen that.
You have an amazing love for them, but there's something else that I wanted to see. There's something else that you do, and that's with like AGN, with your business, with and to build context here, like you ran an esports team, you do really big esport events, like big things in Western New York or upstate New York. So what I have observed is you're always inclusive of making sure that it's an environment that it's the professionals to the pros, or I'm sorry, from the professionals to the noobs,
Yeah.
making sure that people feel safe and okay to come and have a good time.
Right.
Like there's this thread throughout, the things that I see. Then there's this other thing that you're constantly doing. And that's having these conversations online, right? Where you're just like, hey, here's this thing I observe. Like either this is how I'm thinking about it, or how should I think about this? Like there's this intense curiosity you have and an intense desire to make sure that people feel okay. And I wonder, is there any of that from this experience of one, having a dad that you look up to so much and then losing him, where you're like, I want to make sure that I'm not one wasting my life and that I'm like learning and growing and making other people feel okay. Is there any element that you're bringing your dad into all of these things?
I think I never even thought about it like that, but yeah, like I think my dad was like, we're family and we're gonna move like a family. And even though he was stubborn in his ways when it came to certain things, and me being Aries, everybody tell me I'm stubborn because I'm Aries and that kind of stuff. And it's just some stuff I'm like, man, I ain't moving on it. Damn what you got to say. But I do know that family was really big on my mom and dad's side, and so that's just naturally ingrained in me to like not make people feel isolated and feel corny and feel left out. And I just think it's whack to do people like that, man. I think the world always has enough weak stuff going on and enough assholes and enough corny stuff going on. And so like, why would I add to that when I don't have to, when it's not even naturally in me to add to that?
When your dad died, did you feel a sense of isolation and other? Like it's something that was very visceral to me. And even to this day where I'm just like, I immediately was like I've always felt othered, which I know is also weird as a straight white man in this country, but I've always felt like a misfit. I've always felt othered and outside of everything. And then when Ariana died, I was like, oh my gosh, now I really can't relate to anybody. I feel so isolated. Did you have that sense after your dad died?
To a degree, yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's why I push so hard now, like you said, to just make sure nobody feels left out, nobody feels isolated, nobody feels like they don't belong in the gaming community. And early on, kind of feeling isolated when my dad died and not knowing which way to turn, and like when you're isolated and then you don't know which way to turn, and then when you finally do turn to somebody, they kind of shit on you.
Yes.
It's a little difficult to deal with.
Yes.
And
100%.
And you looking like, damn, like I'm trying to lean into you.
Yep.
And here you are being funny or you're dealing with whatever. And I always have to remind myself that people deal with grief differently.
Yeah.
And it's going to show up and manifest in different ways. And sometimes, man, it's gonna show up in a very ugly way.
Yeah.
Dealing with my friend who lost her sister, man, sometimes it shows up in a really ugly way that I've never seen from her. And I'm like, man, like I'm here for you. Like I love you. I don't want you to be jacked up and whatever. But and then sometimes I've been insensitive, like, and I know I have, like, and I'm looking back, like, damn, I could have handled that a little bit better. I could have, you know what I'm saying? You know what? I probably shouldn't have said that at that time. I should have gave you a little more grace there.
But you have it feels like you have that self-awareness.
I do, and it's hard in the moment though.
Of course.
When you're like, I just want you to see with this. Wait, just look at this thing. But then, like, at the time, you're not mentally ready to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's tough to be in that that situation too, where you're trying to be there for someone, but also not get shitted on.
Yes.
And being there for someone too, because there was some times where I was insufferable when my dad passed. And I know that.
Yeah.
And I knew that. It's like, man, I even apologized to some of the people that I was.
Wow, really?
I mean, I was in my 30s when I did it, but like, thank God they were alive to
Right.
for me to apologize to them. But I was like, I'm sorry. I was 15, I was 16, and I was angry, and I was upset. And you came across as trying to be anything close to what my father was, and I rejected it. I didn't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And so I recently had to apologize to a guy. It was a little bit different though, and I feel like he owes me an apology too. But I had to kind of sit down and kick it with him, like, you know what? I've been holding something against you. You don't even know it. He was saying the sermon over my dad was in the church, and he was in the funeral. Yeah. And so I remember he was up on the pulpit. He was like, Christopher, if you ever need somebody to talk to, if you ever need somebody to come to, I got your back, and you could come to me at any point in time. And when he heard that, I took it to heart. My dad is dead right there in front of me. If you say that over my father's body, I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah.
And so here I am. AGN opens up, and I needed help with something. Maybe 3 months into AGN being open, and he was like, I can't do it. And I'm like, damn, I never asked your funky ass for nothing since my dad. Sorry, since my dad been gone for over a decade, and I finally asked you for something, and you can't do it. And after that, I just held a grudge against him. I was like, you can't say it over my dad's body and think that I'm gonna be okay with it. So I actually had to apologize. Not apologize, but it's like, you know what? It was apologize. I was like, you know what? I held something against you, and I shouldn't have. I should have just told you in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of being pissed off at you for years.
Yep.
And not wanting to look at you, talk to you, answer your text back, nothing for years. And you don't even know why. And I told him why. He was like, oh my God, I never even thought about that. And so he didn't know. He had said it, but 10 years is a long time.
It's a long time. Yeah, that's a long time.
Well,
come on now.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You were 16 though. That meant a lot,
Right. And it only hit so hard because at the time when he said it to me, my dad is dead, and you're saying it to me in the pulpit, and you're saying it in front of everybody in the church. Like, if you need me, I'm here for you. My hero's laying there, and so someone is saying that they going, and so for the one time I reach out to you, nah, and so it was like, damn, like I can't trust none of y'all. So then I kind of dealt out. Maybe it's PTSD from my father's death, but I dealt with that a little bit. I can't ask nobody for nothing. Never mind.
As someone who has I feel like it's thousands of people from my mom's life that have said things like that to me, and who I have at some point or another, relied on them, and they were there. I would feel pretty much the same if one of them was like, no, no, I can't help you. Even just trying, right? Like if you were like, can you help me get 100 signatures? And he's like, I can only get 50, but here, that would be
more than enough.
That would
be right.
Yeah. But to just kind of categorically be like, no, and you never know what he was going through in that moment. If we talk about giving someone grace, which I think was actually a really big topic from someone we spoke to last week, right? Like you don't know what they're going through at the same time, and it just feels like it's not fair. But at the same, it's two sides of the same
It's tough
coin.
because you dealing with grief and then dealing with someone who's experiencing grief. Like I've been on both sides. And on one side, you're screaming for so many things. You're screaming for help, and if you're screaming for love, you're screaming for affection. You're screaming for understanding. You're screaming for grace and all those things. And then on the side that I'm on, it's just like, damn, I'm trying to give this to you, but you kind of giving me your ass to kiss when I do it. Or you're not ungrateful, but you're kind of giving me a hard time because it's not manifesting in the way that you want to. So it's just it's a slippery slope, man. It's tough because you don't want anybody to feel like I'm not gonna be. And then sometimes I'm the type, like I said, I'll give it my all. But if I see like I'm ramming my head into the wall here, oh, you know what? Let me just go ahead.
You hit a point.
So it's like, come on, bro, you wilding, and I know you are. Let's figure this out. Now I'll be back, okay? And sometimes I'll be back is not what they need to hear.
Right.
And so now you're dealing with the whole situation. So it's funny to be able to come in here and talk about this as I deal with someone who I love dearly, deal with the loss of her sister, and just being there and seeing it in real time, and trying to understand.
That's like the worst thing to me. It makes it all come back because you're just relive your experience with grief and the big loss that you had. At least for me, that's what happens. I have a friend that she just lost her mom. Her mom was 60, and like way too young. And you want to be there and you want to provide comfort and care. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not a pro at this. I just like experienced it. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck am I saying? It's like, I'm not an expert in this topic, but I have gone through it. So, but it's also like, even though we both lost our moms at very different points in our lives. And
which makes a huge difference.
Right. Yeah. Like I was 9. Man. I mean, I only had 9 years of memories to mourn, really. Like I mourn more of what I missed out on because she died than of actual memories with her. You know what I mean? Like we had some Disney trips. I remember her mostly sick. And in this case, my friend was able to have 30 years with her, 20, just less than 30 years. And it's such a different experience because there's so much more to that.
Yeah.
In my, I feel like it would be harder. I feel like what she's going through. I think it's harder than what I went through.
I think it's harder too, and that's why even when we were talking about it with my friend, I was like, this probably pales in comparison. Like, I mean, she knows we can't talk about it, me and my father, too long without me being all right. Let's move to something else. But for her to have 40 plus years with her sister, and then boom, you know what I'm saying? So, I can't even. I told her I can't even fathom. Like, I'm trying my best to understand what is going on in here. I think sometimes the way that it manifests is hard to see people deal with it and go through with it. And sometimes you see people get out of character, like, damn, that's not you.
Right.
But it's like they don't know what's them right now. Yeah, they're trying to figure out like what's their next, what's their new normal, what's their what is my life supposed to be now? You know what I'm saying? And so like trying not to be an asshole through that transition as well. Can be very challenging. So there's a side of grief that you deal with as a person, but then there's another side of grief that you deal with from the outside looking in and trying to be the helper and trying not to step on toes. And when I'm around her, I try not to say different phrases or specific things that'll trigger it, or just being careful what type of songs I play. Because I remember something happened. I played a song and it was like, "You're my sister," and I was like, "Shit!" And as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Shit." And she was like, "Can you turn it off, please?" Like I was reaching already to turn the knob down.
Yeah.
and before I could even get my whole head, and she's like, I was like, "All right, I'm sorry," right? Because I didn't want to bring that up, and she turned out the window.
You're in tune to that.
Right.
You're in tune to that because of what you went through. You know, some people just wouldn't even think about
it.
And
I think because I to CJ's point, I was raised to like just be paying attention to that type of stuff. And it's funny to me to be tuned with it now because I've been oblivious to other people almost my entire life. CJ, I've been in my own zone. That's why AGN is such I always wanted people to feel included from a kid, but like I could be like this, just look at that wall and be chilling, right? And everybody else be like, "But what did you do?" Yeah, this wall is really nice though. I enjoy this wall right here. And I could do that and not feel bad or not feel like I'm missing out because I'm like, I'm cooler, you know?
Right.
And I so to be in tune with it now is like, I feel like I've emotionally grown because now I even give a damn enough to try. Because before I was like, well, I'm busy over here in my little world trying to figure out what I've got going on. But like to be able to take the time out and like even like, hey, what do you need? Like, what can I do? It's important to like be there for people the best way you can and to show up for them any way you can. But I also want to remind people like you can't lose yourself in trying to show up for other people too. And that's the hardest shit to do. Like to just be like, damn, I want you to be good, but I can't be fucked up.
Right.
Trying to help you be good. And that's something I've done before in the past, just dealing with multiple people. Because when I take on whatever, I think that's why I'm able to just, okay, yep, that's you over there. Because when I take it on, I take shit so personally. And that's why it was very hard in the beginning of AGN to like any kind of criticism. Oh, it fucked me up, CJ. It fucked my day up. I couldn't. What did he mean by that? The party wasn't that bad. And man, guys, the tournament, yeah, it could have been longer, but I didn't know. But now I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. I gotta figure that out. I gotta move on with it. But like, so it's really hard to not take things personally and just be able to be like, okay, I messed up there. But what I've learned is through trying to help other people, when you take accountability for your shit and your actions and stuff like that, which apologizing to my ex-wife and to my ex-girlfriend, obviously at different stages of our life and stuff like that. Once there was a lot less vitriol between the two of us, and we could like be in the same room together, or we could look at each other and not feel like complete disgust, right? But apologizing to them helped me really own my shit. And once I was able to own my shit, CJ, man, it felt like the skies opened up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I was fucking up over here.
Right.
I was not. Now, mind you, I don't think I deserved the way that my marriage ended, but I also know from a husband standpoint, there was some shit I did that absolutely could have been better from a husband standpoint. Now, obviously, everybody has something in their life they feel like they could do better. If they could go back in time, they would do a little bit better.
I think about it all the time.
Right.
I'm haunted by it.
Right. And I hate that you have to be haunted by it because you don't even get a chance to make that fix. And luckily, I was at least able to apologize to them. Like, listen, you know what? Hey, I was lazy at times. I definitely wasn't affectionate as I should have been. I definitely wasn't as understanding and emotionally as intelligent as I should have been. And I think I was more pig-headed and more stubborn than I needed to be in our marriage. And I apologize for that. And this isn't me trying to get back with you or trying to be your man again, nothing like that. I'm past that. I'm over that. But I want you to understand that I'm sorry for the shit I did that damaged you and made you feel like you weren't loved or thought about or cared about or worthy of marriage or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it made you feel like you needed to find XYZ somewhere else. So I'll never be okay with how you handled it, but I do want to accept and acknowledge my part in that.
Yeah.
And so once I was able to do that with her and my ex, those two in specific in particular, it helped me be able to be there for other people, because if I fuck something up, even trying to be there for them, I could say, okay, I'm sorry. Right? Because if I never did that, I wouldn't be able to say I'm sorry when my sister came on the radio or when I picked the song to be, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I would have been like, shit, deal with it. Like that's how I was at one point in time.
Amazing. I think that's like huge because, yeah, okay. So I want to be respectful of your time. But I want to reiterate everything you just said. And like, I'm sitting here listening to say this and I'm like, holy fuck, this is such a really amazing breakdown of grief. And I know like you were talking about other things, but you're like, what I heard was like, we all experience grief in our own ways.
Yep.
We all act out of character when we're in our grief. And there's actual like scientific reasons for these things. I mean, for one, you don't sleep. I mean, like there's just like, and that alone like changes because you can't think straight. And I've always thought about it from the perspective of the griever, from my perspective of like, I just need, like, I don't need somebody to say the right thing. I don't need somebody to do the right thing. I just need them to just sit there and just be like, yeah, this fucking sucks. And I can hold and handle all the shit that you're going through and being out of character and all these things. But like, I think what I hear from you too is like, it's also equally important that the person who's trying to comfort the griever is able to approach it with, I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to be able to have this conversation and build this relationship with you in your grief, and to be loving and graceful in that, and to have that self-awareness, also putting up those boundaries.
Yes.
Like,
that's the hardest part.
Man.
That's the hardest part though, to know somebody needs you, but also know like, damn, if I get too much of this is going to fuck my head up.
Right.
Or it's going to affect how I interact with my kids the next day. Or I'm going to be highly irritable because I've messed up so often over here. And I'm like, damn, Daddy, not right now. And I'd never want to give y'all something that I couldn't do as an adult. So that's the hardest thing to like, even sitting here talking to you, I'm like, damn, I probably need to go to apologize to my friend now just for some of the shit that I mishandled through that. But I think the hardest thing is accountability, man, and owning it. I really struggled with it, especially my dad passing. I didn't really know what to do with it, and he was the person I feel like at one point in time he would have taught me like how to handle that shit as a man. But I missed that. I missed that aspect of it, and so I only got it from the turn the other cheek, and what would Jesus do?
Right.
That aspect, and even though that's crazy important, it's also important to deal with the physical manifestation of like what we are, who we
That's
are,
right.
In life right now. So
and the humanness of it.
right, and you're still a person. Like it's awesome as my aunt is, and she's the pastor. She actually,
shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, she was the pastor of my church for like 40 something years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, she actually bought that church that's on North Clinton Avenue, that big church on the corner. She owns it, so she's not like paying rent or like that. She's like, when I tell you this lady's awesome, my family's full of awesome entrepreneurs and business folks, and like people who just like they don't fuck around. That's why they don't know where I came from and why I'm so goofy, because like other people in my family's not like this. Like they are all like,
I mean, but
XYZ.
bro, you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't feel like it, CJ.
Dude, trust me. Like, we'll have to have a conversation after all this. But like, 100%. 100%.
Sometimes I'm like, damn, I am fucking up out here. What am I doing? So
no, I feel that.
but yeah, it's just seeing it from both sides is hard, man.
It is.
And having to respect people's space,
Yeah.
but understanding from my own like emotional and mental capacities, I need to step back. I need to take a break. I need to go, okay, I love you, but I need to go do my own thing for a little while, because this is becoming very heavy on me, and all the grief, and I want to be able to show up for you the best way I can, and I'm going to show up for you in a fucked up way if I keep letting this kind of, let me get this off my shoulders real quick and get this weight off me. I'll be back to take a little bit more.
Yeah.
But give me a second. You know what I'm saying?
That's amazing.
And being able to say that to somebody and them accept it in a way that they accept it, even if they don't.
Just being honest is like, if somebody was just honest with me about that, they'd be like, oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you.
And here's the thing though, everybody don't take it that way, CJ. Like some people, some honesty is like, man, fuck you, right? And it's like, whoa, that's not what I was trying to do. But again, but if you weren't raised in an environment where honesty is important, or where you got a lot of honesty, and I got a lot of honesty, so I'm used to it, me being, I don't think I am, but I call myself the black sheep of the family, because I do things differently. My brother, he was the dean of student life at Elmira College. He was the first ever black dean of student life at Elmira College. And my sister, man, she's got her bachelor. She's about to be a doctor pretty soon. So
holy shit. Okay.
And I'm like, I'm over here like, I'll play video games. So sometimes it's like, wow. But I also learned not to compare myself to them. Like,
yes.
And the dopest thing about my family is none of us ever make each other feel whack.
Yeah,
for whatever
awesome.
we got going on. My brother's special needs, you know what I'm saying?
Beautiful.
And my brother who's special needs get the same respect that my oldest brother who's been a dean of student life, that my sister who's going to be a doctor soon, that I get as an entrepreneur. We all give each other the same love and respect, because it's like, we fucking family. Like, why I got to shit on you to feel better? Like, but we were raised in that though.
Yeah.
So being able to give that love and that compassion and that thought process is simple. Once you put love involved in it, it does change things and change the dynamic a little bit. And once it's someone that's outside of your family, sometimes it is a little bit more difficult to give that love and that grace. But I think you hit it right on the head, CJ. I think it's important to know both sides of it, and to know how to be there for someone. Like you said, sometimes just sit there and shut up. Just be around. Just be there. Just be a presence.
Yeah.
Just don't try to say the right. And I've messed up trying to do that, trying to say the right things. It's just if God was there, I don't want to hear that. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. But because when you're trying to help, you want to say, you want to be the person that says that thing that breaks them out of it, right?
But there is nothing you can say.
Right. And I had to accept that.
It's showing up at the funeral and like catching out of the glimpse of my eye, like that right there.
Right.
You didn't have to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, you're there. And I was like, fuck. That said everything.
And I was like, what am I going to say to CJ? I remember in my car, I was like, what can I say to him? Like, what do you say in this type of situation? You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad I didn't even have to.
You don't say how you do it.
Right. Yo, oh my God. I fucked up and said that too. Because my thing with her was always, what are you doing? How you doing? And it's like, so for the first couple times, I was like, well, how you feeling? How you think I'm feeling?
I was just reading this article about like what not to say. And it was like, don't say they're in a better place. Don't say, are you doing okay? Don't say, And I'm like, it's just those things though. Sometimes they just like come out.
They do.
Like
The
it's
cliches.
like where you think that's what they want to hear, because you're just trying to be. You are coming from a good place, but it's not the right.
It's
way.
funny you said that, because I literally just had her say that to me. She's like, people keep trying to tell me my sister's in a better place. I don't want to hear that shit. She's not in a better place.
Yeah, it's like
She's
better place. Can you give me the directions?
Right. I'd like to go see her in that better place.
I don't fucking want to
It's
be here.
crazy you said that, Ash, because that's literally like what she was saying. So it's funny to hear you say it here now. Like, wow, like that really is a thing. Like, not to say. Don't say they're in a better place. Don't say that it was their time and all that kind of stuff, because nobody wants to hear that at that particular moment. Maybe years down the road, but even then, like, that's still, you got to let them say that. You know what I'm saying? That has to be something that they come to grips with or deal with. Right. You can't be the one who puts that statement out there and expects them to accept.
Right. I feel like it's like this, I don't know. We joke about Buffalo optimism, where it's like if it's snowing at especially at like a Bills game, like, oh well, I mean, it could be raining and windy and freezing cold, but thankfully it's only snowing. And so it's like we try to apply that when we're like dealing with grief, and you're like, oh, they lived a great life. Well, I'm still sad.
Right. I want them to keep living that great life. Yeah.
Or they're in a better place. No, not really. They're not in a better place. I think that a better place would be here with us. Or they're no longer suffering. That's another popular one, I feel like.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Because when you know people are suffering, like I knew he was suffering for cancer. So like I actually did find some solace in that, because I'm like, well, at least my dad doesn't have to use the bathroom through a colostrophe bag anymore, right? But I'm like, shit, I'd rather him be there and just change this stinking ass bag.
Exactly.
Than, you know what I'm saying? So I get both sides of that, unfortunately.
All right, so let's finish this out. I don't know if you heard any of the episodes. We do a lightning round.
Okay.
And it's just like quick, like one-word answers or whatever you want. So we'll go back and forth. We have a few questions.
Okay.
I'll go first. What's your favorite video game?
My favorite video game? My favorite video game of all time is probably Madden 95.
Because of
my father. Yeah.
Okay.
I will never not love that game because of that. And that's how I dealt with a lot of my grief, playing that game over and over again.
If you can only play one game for the rest of your life.
If I could only play one game for the rest of my life? Oh, that's rough.
I would choose Mario Kart.
I respect that. That. I played the shit out of Diablo 3, so probably Diablo 3.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite child?
No, I don't believe in that shit.
Oh, bring in a good question.
Y'all on point today. I promise you, my kids just asked me today, like, Daddy, how come you don't have a favorite? I don't believe in favorites. So no, I don't have a favorite child.
Yeah.
If you could ask God any question, one question, what would it be?
How's my dad doing?
That's beautiful.
I've got just a simple one. What's your favorite day of the week?
Ooh, I love Monday.
Monday.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Monday.
Love it.
Shit.
Yeah, it's one of the days I have all my kids. So I love Monday.
Well, thanks for spending this Monday.
Absolutely, man. I dropped them off and I was like, let me come here right now.
Super Mario Brothers or Zelda?
Ooh.
And we'll go with the OGs.
I'm going to go Mario 3.
Oh.
That's the illest one I've ever played.
What's your favorite world in Mario 3?
My favorite world? Gosh. I'm going to go the second level in world number 1. I love that music.
Okay.
And I'm Luigi, so I was player 2, so I always started on that level with me and my brother.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's
man,
wild.
So that's my favorite level.
Shit. Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing.
This was awesome, man. Thank y'all for inviting me.
It was beautiful hearing about your dad and all of that stuff. And yeah, man, we appreciate it so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Day After. You can find this podcast and more at our website at www.thedayafter.com. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you take a moment to leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast.